Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. Folks, we've got a full house again today. It's been so long since the house has been full and crowded full of people. But here we are, returned to a full packed show. That will happen again next week? Certainly not. I already know that. But I'm getting ahead. I'm getting caught up on scheduling, and that lets me get ready, lets me get the crews together. The promise of the after-con hangout has arrived once again as we put 3 people in the room together. 4, technically, if you count me. But who am I? I'm Andrew. I make Indiepocalypse, that, the alternative game collection that comes out every month. I feel like I'm still obligated, no matter when I mention it anywhere, just to explain exactly what it is, because I still feel like literally nobody knows what it is. But then maybe people do secretly know what it is, but they don't talk about it. Who knows? Speaking of people who know what it is, our first guest you may know from issue 36 of Indiepocalypse. Yes. I've got 37 on the brain, so I'm thinking, because it's coming up very soon, in less than a week's time, with businessmen. It's Moochie. Moochie, hello.
Hello, yeah, businessmen.
Businessmen.
Yeah, get some business done.
The second game in the lucrative Delfino coin collecting genre.
Exactly. That's gonna be a thing, hopefully.
It's nothing else if we are. Indiepocalypse always at the forefront of all new genre and gaming innovations.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a subgenre of like a very traditional, also Indiepocalypse genre.
Of bullshit.
Of like stealing assets.
Yes.
And that's a very common one, like with Mario assets.
Yes. The Titanic 2 knee. Oh god, what was it called when it was in Indiepocalypse? Symphony
For a Dying Sea or
Symphony
something?
for a Dying Sea. Yes, that's what it was called back in its Indiepocalypse days.
Yes.
Kind of like the way Antichamber used to be called Hazard: A Journey Through Life when I first played it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I played it, like, I can't remember if it was on TigSource or wherever that I played it, but yeah, it was like, yeah, it was called Hazard: A Journey Through Life, and I asked Alexander Bruce at PAX, and he's like, that name was embarrassing. I'm like, kinda is, but also it's not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like too intense. Maybe it's a good one for today. I think today would be good. I think back in the day we got to be more... Like back in like when that game came out, I think Antichamber was the right name.
Yes,
but now it could be something more intense.
Right. It is or maybe had a different goal. But anyway, enough about that. We should have an important question for you, and let's see if you can cast your brain back roughly 3 years.
Okay.
As I ask you, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh yeah, I don't know, but I heard about it like super early. Like I was like in like issue 2 or 3.
Yes, you submitted, I believe, Imagine a Character, or did I get the name right?
I did submit Imagine the Character, yeah, very early, and yeah, that's one of my favorite games I ever made. And I also helped a friend submit the orchestra game.
Yes, and that one was in issue 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, issue 3, exactly. Yeah, this is my friend Luca Zagrassi, awesome designer as well. Makes some very cool 3D weird stuff.
Yeah,
and yeah, like we were kind of like learning some Unity together at the time, and we made this game. Like mostly he made the game, and I supported him out with tech stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, that is, so you're saying, do you not remember how the early origins of?
Yeah, like it was like, I don't know, I saw a tweet and it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, and when was this? Like, it was early 2019, right?
It was, well, catch your brain back to when the novel coronavirus just started, and that is when Indiepocalypse started.
Oh, it was a COVID thing. Okay, so for late 2019.
Oh,
okay.
No, here's the thing. It wasn't a COVID thing. I was planning on going to a lot of events.
Oh
no. but it kind of coincided that, like, it kind of was a bad timing for me.
I
I
see.
I had gone to the first PAX East with it and kind of milled around a little. Like I asked someone that I knew, I said, "Buy me an exhibitor badge. I don't have a booth, buy me one." And then they did. And then I kind of hung around some places.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a long time ago, and though it didn't get selected in that first issue, can I say, or the second one, it is the reason that I created the Indiepocalypse waitlist that now exists that I emailed the people. Because I went back to look for it one day and I saw that it was that you had removed it. And like, I don't know how to get this person's email anymore.
Oh, damn.
So if I exclude people for like lack of space, I ought to tell them now, and now I do tell them.
I see. Nice.
But enough about these old entries. What is I alluded to it briefly. What is businessmen?
Yeah, businessman. Businessman is like kind of a long story of what it is, but like what it ended up like what the character is. But like the idea of the game was just you asked me to do this thing, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make a game, and I have like multiple genres of like what I like to make, but I've been mostly working on like this long project with a friend for like a year now, like with a group of friends, which is like a platformer. It's called Discone, and we're still working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about the future of it. But like we're working on that, so all I could think was about that game, and we have this idea of like being able to make side stories of our own game, like to make like a little mod and publish it separately, or to make like just a complete mod that is unrelated.
Yeah.
And we have this one idea for this character that I've been thinking about for the longest time since I saw like a Dark Souls 3 speed run.
Okay.
That like it's not even a speedrun. Like there's this challenge video of like a person I think trying to beat Dark Souls without moving the stick.
Okay.
Like they never touch the like so they tried to beat Dark Souls 3 without moving, basically without moving around, which is really weird. And at some point they use this item that they can like ascend or descend and clip through walls.
Okay.
And clip through ceilings and wall and grounds, but they can ascend terrain by getting to a corner and like pushing the character against that and climbing up and down. And I thought that movement was really interesting. Like we'd choose height by finding mountains in the terrain that you could use to push yourself up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty fun, like kind of movement. Like if instead of jumping, you could fly anywhere you wanted, but if you wanted to go up and down, you have to find some surface to push yourself up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like where the movement of the game came from. And then for some reason, I thought that was kind of funny, like kind of bureaucratic that you couldn't jump, that you could only like push yourself up and down surfaces. I felt like that was kind of like very rigid. And for some reason, I thought it was funny to call the character that does that a businessman.
Yes. Yeah. A businessman out to do business. I should note, if it was not clear, it was the most recently commissioned game for Indiepocalypse, which is like a joy to... I like to never see work in progress. I don't want to hear about the games. I don't want to see it. I don't want to think about it until you give it to me. And it's always like a pleasure to when it happens, because I just never like I don't know what it is, and I like the people who make a lot of stuff, and especially if you make like a lot of like non-traditional games, things that are game adjacent. I have very loose definitions of what games need to be, to be.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
I think even my own starter guide, I have the death of Vansat Finfail as expert level entry point for Indiepocalypse, because
that game is so good, so inspiring. Gurn Group in general, everything they do is amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gurn Group.
Yes, this whole like, I like to see. It's very interesting to see Indiepocalypse kind of travel through scenes slowly,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you I like who is patient zero for like, you know, clearly like it goes through NYU, the NYU game studies program, and I'm like, who is patient zero, and seeing all these different things of like now it is like traveling through like this Brazilian scene and is like moving through these sorts of different game communities as I see different submissions trickle in, and people be like, oh yeah, I know who that is. That is. Yes, all your submissions are sending, but this is a radio show, but I treat it generally like a radio show where I'm sitting at a desk, I am chatting with the guests here, and you are a caller. You may be in your car, maybe you're at the work site, and it's a one-way street, is what I'm saying. Generally speaking, not very Twitch-like, but very my approach-like. Everything's going through though, so. I wonder if there's a way that I can put that in a Twitch chat. There's like, Andrew's not going to talk to you, but it's no disrespect to you. It is just kind of the vibe I'm going for. Because Moochie, you're only here for 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, I just noticed. I was just looking at the chat right now, and I was like, oh, I think we don't look at the chat on this.
Yes, it is not like I do look at it. That's how I know that the person is saying.
Yeah.
But I keep it low key. So basically, so I don't go on these long diversions like I just did.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you want to come and talk to me, you know what you do? You go to indiepocalypse.com/submit, and you make a game and you submit it, and then you get on Indiepocalypse Radio. That's the secret to getting on. Yeah, games, and it's always a strange thing, as because I always feel bad when there's like a certain caliber of game that I feel very bad about not including, because it's like not quite there, but it's clear like that person I see games that like I see a game that person would make that I would love, but like it's just like what they're submitting is not quite there.
Mm-hmm. And there's like so many of things that are like basically there, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
pretty intense how many good stuff there is.
Yes, yeah. There are infinite numbers of. I mean, I've done like 370 games, so far, and with no repeated contributors.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a lot of people making a lot of games. You could spend. I have I have like a, what is it? I have a playlist on itch, a secret collection of people that have not, as far as I know, have not, or people that have not been in, but also have like, you know, I could add them later, and it's a very long page. It's a very long list. So, you know, this thing could last. Oh, let me click on this guy and let me tell you how much. 801 games on that list still.
Oh wow! Of different people.
That excludes. So that is the list of people I like invite to the zine of my single invitation a week. That I like. I don't think they know about this thing. I want to help increase the number of people that do know about it, that know that you can get paid for the games that you make, no matter what they are. But then if you count in the fact that there are like, I exclude dudes. Dudes have had it good for a while. I'm good. And dude, that is a capital D dude that covers usually a lot of factors. So there might be people who are technically dudes in the dude sense, but do not fall into dude category. And that's like another 1,400 games. so
wow.
So there's a lot of games, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I love when I make a game and then I see it added to your to play
yes
itch.io collection with like 6,000 items. It's always a joy to see that. Oh yeah, there's a definitely gonna be played.
Yes, that is not a reminder. To play is not a reminder for me. That is a command for others.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just like, hey, this is the list that is. There's a bunch of games. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting
and like
collection.
These are but that's just how I operate. My folder of music only available on Bandcamp that I need to listen to is right now 14,000 albums, or 1,400 albums.
Yeah, no, that's inspiring. Yeah, like there's like a pressure that if the list is small enough, you kind of feel like at some point you can go and clear it. But like if you just have a 6,000 item list, it's fine.
Oh, trust me, I'm clearing that Bandcamp list. I'm working my way through it. I probably listen to 4 or 5 albums a day.
Whoa!
Depending on how, I mean, if it's like a 3-hour-long jazz album, maybe I listen to 2 albums that day. But
as you say, just like constantly going through it.
Yeah, I enjoy art a lot.
Nice.
And I like to experience new stuff constantly.
That's awesome.
I go on like archive.org and like it's the single step process. It's like, do you go, yeah, that Weather Channel music is cool, I will like it on Twitter, or do you go one step further and you download the entire Weather Channel discography from archive.org, which is what I do.
What's your favorite thing you've ever found at archive.org?
I don't actually. The thing is, I don't archive.org. I don't spelunk there. I kind of I find myself there when I need to be there.
I see. You're really like a user of it.
Yeah, like when it's something I know I need, I'll go there to get it. But it's like that's the other thing. I'm very busy. And I've yet had the time to what's the word? Look for things like kind of go what I call what's the phrase for primary source searching, where it's just like I literally am going onto Bandcamp and looking by myself.
Oh yeah.
That I have not found the time to sort of do that kind of thing. But
yeah, like it was like there's always another thing already. Like you're already in the 5th source, right?
Right. I'm like, thank God for Bandcamp Daily. Thank God for I follow everyone who makes a game in itch, because that's their recommendations and their collections and their ratings is how I find a lot of new stuff. Yeah,
no, exactly. It's just so good. You just exist, and I have 100 tabs open that I don't need to look for anything. If I want to play a game, I just look for the closest tab, and I'm like, okay, let's play this one.
Yeah, I mean, I can open my itch recommendations, or I can go to my feed and let 300 other people go through their recommendations and sort stuff for me already, and then occasionally I can do self-spelunking.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm talking a lot about stuff. What do you think of video games? What's your feeling on video games?
What's my feeling on video games?
Do you like them? Do you? What are these things? What are these things for?
I don't know. Like it's weird because I love these. Like I have a hard time like playing anything for long or doing anything that's too long. So like I don't know. Like I feel like the way I engage with video games, I like messing around with them, but I don't like I almost never play long stuff.
Right.
And it got shorter and shorter, like my attention span. And like a lot of the time, like playing a longer thing, makes me want to be like, okay, like should I watch a movie? Should I play a game? Should I read a book?
Yeah.
It's all like it's in a category that is different than my video games category. That is about like a very short snippet of a thing that is kind of exciting to do. I don't know, like that's what I've been trying to like think about more recently. Like how I don't play a lot of games because I'm like, I'm too like I don't know. I don't want to do this now.
They take a lot of time to play.
Yeah,
I've been thinking more of like mentally kind of like thinking of games like a TV series rather than a movie. You know, like if I'm gonna play this AAA like long ass game, it's kind of more like I'm watching a TV show than I am playing watching a movie. But they're structured like a movie in a lot of cases. Like not like it's strange. Like they don't have that kind of like clean cutoff point that like I say a show, but a lot of shows are. We're in the binge era, you know? So they're all meant to be left on and just like you lie on a couch for 8 hours and then you finish it. Then the show is done, and you're like. Was that good, or does it look better because the episodes were allowed to mash together into one giant 8-hour blob?
Yeah.
Which hides the weakness of them, and it's all anyway. Wow, wait. Would you believe we're getting close? We're actually approaching close to our end of time here. But I gotta ask you we got a question every week.
Nice.
And a reliable question from a Mochi. That is not a Mochi. That is like a Mochi. 2 words. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Whoa, no, I don't know. That's not. That's a gap in my knowledge.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
When this question was originally asked, it was similarly a gap in my knowledge, and now it is still a gap in my knowledge, but much smaller. Or I say much, but like a little bit smaller.
That's pretty sad. Yeah, I was just like last week. I think I was like, I should understand more about Toho, and I didn't do much about it.
No, but it's very cool conceptually, and I still love that idea of what it is.
But yeah, I don't even know how to start answering this question.
You'd answer it by saying, I don't know.
Yes.
Saying, I'm unfamiliar with the concept.
Yes. What is yours?
I'm not sure yet. I like the vibes of the people in the castle, maybe. There's like a maid and like a vampire, and then like another lady has like weird gem wings, maybe. I don't know. I'm learning. I took a Toho break to read comic books and watch movies. I was like, I could play video games or I could watch Deep Cover, and I watched Deep Cover, and it ruled. But anyway, movies, they're good. Games, they're good. Businessmen, it's good. Mucho,
oh yeah,
it's good.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I was happy about it in the end.
In a mere 6 days, it will be free out into the wild for anyone who does not want to pay money to me to play. I'm not a stickler for exclusivity. I don't care too much about it, but it's more like. There is a business wolf inside of me that says, if you're paying these people more money, you ought to extract some value in return. Like,
yeah, no, I think I think the commission thing is an awesome idea. It just like it gets like your special, like you choose someone to make a game for you. I think like there's some amazing commissions games.
Oh my, yes. I mean,
just like, yeah, it just creates something very special about it. I don't know.
There's what, at least one award winner and one award nominee so far, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a beautiful selection of games, and I feel like we don't get like getting commission is a beautiful thing. I don't know. It was just like so. I was like, yeah, it's like I'm getting paid to make these things. It's so nice.
It doesn't happen anymore, you know. We are like there's no like small scale. Like it's either your budget is $0 or it's like $6 million, you know, and like very little in between.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is the entire thing you're doing is just very awesome work. It's just like even if it's not like a giant scale or not even scale, like if it's small, like it's still a thing that is good for like it's exciting for it to happen. And I wish it was bigger and bigger, and I hope it goes more and more.
I wish I wish is, you know, I want to reach the day job level, and it's enough for me. Then I'm like, no one needs to grow any bigger. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just so you like, if there's like if there was a world where this is sustainable for everyone, that would be so sick.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, there's like the curator people that organize, and because of them, everyone can pay their rent.
Right. When I was originally pitching this, I was like, this is not going to make anyone rich, but it might pay a month's rent or something, you know?
Yeah, like that would be like incredible if it got you to that point.
Right. Because there's like the idea of, I think a lot about more the small scale freelance artists, you know, and like you do a lot of different commissions. You do like a lot of like commercial acting gigs. You know, it's a lot of like you work a lot of bar gigs. You know, you work as a session musician. Like there's a lot of stuff that is not making the most popular thing of that year. And like games don't have as many of those. Like digital games, especially, don't have as many of those like small scale opportunities.
Yes.
And they're just like, I'm making a small thing for like a single client, and it's like a quick and dirty thing that I do in a month, and I get paid for. But hopefully there'll be more of it soon. There's a little of it. Hand-Eye Society still going strong with their mixtapes, but Richie, that's the end of our time here.
Okay.
That is, we gotta keep it moving.
Gotta move on.
Because I will, as evidenced by my hour-long shows, I will go an hour with one person, no problem. Do you have any last statements? Anything you want to say as you head out?
Anything I want to say as you head out? No.
Right.
Yeah. Play games. Play small games. They're
Perfect.
cool.
Yeah, there's like go play something you never heard of. You know.
Yeah.
When I think, people, when I think like, oh, people aren't playing Indiepocalypse because they haven't heard of the people in it, I'm like, that's the point of it. The point is that you haven't heard of them.
Yes.
But yeah, that is our time here. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to break, and I'm just buying time as I decide what I want my little break image to be. And I found it. Richie, thank you again for being here, for being in the zine, and just for making games in general, and for being a very early adopter of Indiepocalypse.
Yes, yeah. Thanks for doing this. It's awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I was like, how could anyone ever find this thing?
Yeah, I found it.
Yes, people do still. All right. Goodbye. Be back. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Ball Boy with, what's the whole name of that long ass song? I Lost You, but I Found Country Music. We're here with the second guest. Get out of here, Mooch. You're not here anymore. You left. Who you may know from the cover of Indiepocalypse, issue number 36. It's Bryce. Bryce, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, man?
And I'm doing great. I am all fired up, and now that I've been rambling for like 20 minutes or so, I'm in the groove of it.
Hey, there you go. It's never rambles. A stream of consciousness, right?
Yes, exactly. You got to keep everything going. You got to just talk nonstop until you can't talk anymore. And I've done this for 8 hours straight before, so I know I can just keep doing it. But I was I was ready to ask you a question, but I'm all thrown up. I say I was ready to go, but now I'm thrown off because it's been so long since I've had a cover artist on the show. All my go-to questions. I'm like, wait a minute.
Hey, I'm like a shiny Pokemon.
Yeah. I was like, oh man. So speaking of Pokemon, speaking of shiny, tell me about tell me about your work, because you've got a lot of work. You're busy. Like broadly speaking, hey, Bruce, what do you do?
So in a nutshell,
Yeah.
I'm a illustrator and an animator.
Yeah.
But you know, in a broader sense, I'm a sequential artist. So basically, just anything that is narrative driven is typically what I lean into. So like I work in comics and in animation and storyboarding for film and animation, directing music videos, whatever. And from a I guess from like a more traditional quote unquote fine art perspective,
Yeah.
I do exhibits and things like that, and usually I'll have like some sort of topic narrative that I'll lean into, a concept, and I kind of take the things that I do in comics and animation and just kind of apply it in that scale and like compositions, put them together and kind of tell story through exhibition, live art, stuff like that.
Yeah, that is a weird thing I am so envious of in the game scene of like exhibition art. And like I did one show once at a museum, and would you believe me that they paid me to go there? It was...
Hey, it's kind of weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't realize for a long time just how much money existed in the fine art.
Yeah.
In the fine art realm. Because like it looks like one of those things where you just gotta blow up and then get paid. But now sometimes they'll just come through and be like, look, we got a grant, so what are you gonna do some things?
Yeah. It's like, we're government funded, we got this arts funding. You just there's not a lot of it in the US, but we've got it, and the point is that they need to spend it.
Yeah, exactly. It's really crazy. And especially now that pop culture has moved into this realm of being like very highly regarded, and people aren't separating it from the other quote unquote fine art.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier to be a person that exists in our space right now and just jump into an exhibit or something like that.
Yeah, like
it's just not as complicated. I remember 10 years ago having to really convince somebody that yes, I'm actually drawing. And
right.
Now they're just like they don't care. Just put it in front of me. They don't care how I did it.
Right. They don't need. It doesn't need to be like of a classical school. It can just kind of be like art is art, you know. And it's and it
absolutely
and like the range of styles that is kind of like beyond what you would traditionally think of as fine art.
Yeah.
Like allows so much. Like I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm looking at your page. I'm like, man, because like these covers like are so deeply inspired. Like my inspiration for these covers was like album art so much, because like album art is like how do you convey sound visually, you know? And that's like a fascinating approach, because there's no like key art you can put on an album because you don't have scenes, you know, you don't have characters.
Yeah, well, yeah, man, like album art, and anytime I've done any sort of like album covers or tour posters or anything like that, I always have a ton of fun messing with that stuff, because it's always like super interpretive.
Yeah.
So you could just you just literally like sometimes I get the opportunity to listen to a whole project before it's released, or like in its rawest form, and then they're like, how does that make you feel? However it makes you feel, that's can you give me some cover art?
Yeah, man.
And that's super fun. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is like, and what is that like that process for you? Like, how do you then like, do you have like how you are feeling about it? Do you just kind of like just go while you're listening to it? Do you kind of like listen to it like on its own before you even with like pen out of hand and everything?
I do a little bit of both. Like, so basically I'll be listening to a project or just kind of like reflecting on whatever it is that I'm kind of picking up. as I go, and then like, yeah, I'll sketch a whole giant thing. Actually, usually I have like these big 16 by 20 sketchbook pads or whatever, and I'm just sketching all this wild stuff, kind of in a line, like a banner or something.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I'll go back and look at all the things, and then when I'm listening to the music again, I'll kind of pick the sections that I think make sense, and I'll redraw with those elements in mind, and then like, you know, fine tune from there. Usually that's kind of how I put the things together.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
No, it's like, because it's the it's the process that you don't get through, like, you know, to say briefly, the things like a computer can't do, you know. It's like an artist brought something, and like they expressed like this idea through music, and then you took like their feelings, and then you like took what you were feeling and put it onto. It's just like fascinating, like collaborative, transformative, like piece of art.
Yeah, it's really that's the stuff that really excites me the most. Yeah. Is just kind of having the ability to sit down and play with things like that, and not have to deal with the with too much instruction. Like if I can work on a project and completely like operate within my vision and kind of just mix and match in that way, it's so much more fun. There's sometimes where things can like comics, for example. Yeah. Like I love working in comics, but if you're not the person that's kind of within that co-creator space, you are really playing in like a tighter sandbox than people realize, and it can get a little mundane after a while, unless it's something that you super, super love, like regardless.
Right. If you're getting like a full, here's what panel 1 is, here's what panel 2 is, here's what panel 3 is, and like, very strict instructions about what people want, you know. And
yeah, absolutely. Plus, I get in trouble in comics sometimes too. Some comic work that I've done, like somebody will give me the script, and I'll try to push it so far to the edge of what they asked for. Yeah. Like I'm giving you the thing. The thing said, you know, this was on top of a hospital. I showed you on top of the hospital, but it'd be some other shit in there. And then they're like, well, hold on, I didn't write that down. I'm like,
yeah,
but you didn't say no though.
Right. The comic artist is like this really fascinating kind of space, because like it's like you said, how much are you part of like a collaborator, you know, and how much are you just like another guy that is like, yeah. How much are they kind of just like paying you to do a thing for them and not like considering what you would contribute to it, you know?
Yeah. You know, that was I had a situation with like the last job that I had, like actual like 9 to 5, like on someone's payroll. Yeah. Somebody, one of the critiques that someone gave me was, you know, we're not saying that the work's not good, but what we're saying is, you know, you're more of like an artist, and we need more of like a production artist.
Right.
So there was the equivalent of them basically saying like, yo, you're too creative, chill.
Right. They're like, we're not looking for artists. We're looking for a piece of paper and a pen that does what we want to do. Some people are going to get the kind of people that might get very happy about generative art that they have to pay way less money for.
Oh yeah, 1,000%, 1,000%.
Because like that's really what they're looking for, is like they just like, no, I just want people at a park, and I don't really want to look like anything.
Yeah, I want you to give me a green rectangle with a couple of triangles so it looks like grass.
Yeah.
And, you know, all this other stuff that you're doing, chill out.
Right, because that's the problem you run into with brands sometimes, is that if, like, too much of you shines through, it's like, hey, is this about a brand anymore? Is this about, like, this artist? It's, like, kind of really getting themselves out there, and you're like, suddenly Little Debbie's. He's like, no, this was about Little Debbie's. Why are you giving us good art? We just want you. We just want you to put the kind of whatever thing in there. Yeah. Yeah. That's why sometimes I'll even tell people like, no, I don't even want to see your drafts. I don't care. You just like, it'll.
Yo, and that I'm gonna tell you, you were one of the best people to commission me because, yeah, man, because you was literally like, yeah, just do a thing, and I was like, yo, for real?
Yeah, it's sick as hell. It's like, and I've never in 36 issues have ever been disappointed. It's always like the greatest thing. I was like, man, why? This is why you just let artists do their thing, you know?
Oh yeah, man. It just makes life easier for everybody, man.
Yeah.
Yo, it's like we don't want to do bad work, and nobody wants anything that doesn't feel or seem like something. So it's like, yo, hey, let's let everybody cook. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Like the only problem you're not gonna ever run into someone making a like, if you're gonna get worse things if you push someone too much, because they're not gonna be able to think. They're not in your head, you know.
Oh yeah.
The artist can't see what you're asking them for, and I mean, you obviously can't make what you're asking them for, or else you make it yourself. So.
Exactly. That's one of the weirder parts of things when you're dealing with the more corporate you go, the more strict things go. You deal with those people that'll say things along the lines of, I just need you to, think as if you were in such and such's position. But it's weird because it's like, I can do that in the sense of like narrative if I'm telling a story. Yeah. But if I'm not really telling a story, I'm just basically trying to make something from the lens of a person that isn't really making anything. It's almost like, okay, you're asking me to read your mind. I can't read your mind.
Right.
It doesn't I want to, I do, believe me. That would be a dope power to have.
Right. And make commissions a lot easier.
Oh my God, right? Yeah. But yeah, people will be like, yeah, I recently did a whole animated sequence for this people. There was a looping sequence or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be a party. So I drew the whole party within the vibe of the things that they described, animated it, did this whole thing, dope frame rate. It came out really nice to everybody that saw it, including the person, until literally a week later when they decided, hey, so we said this party, but really we meant this type of party. And they showed me a completely different environment, completely different thing. And they're like, how easy would it be to switch this?
I feel like whenever an artist has ever been asked, how easy would it be to switch this? And the answer is never easy.
Never. But it's the weirdest question in the world too, because it's like, man, you knew before you asked me that question that this shit was about to be real difficult.
Yeah.
But you ask because you want to feel better, because the customer service in me is going to tell you, I got you.
Right. It's like, oh, no, it'll be no problem. No. That's why I respect people who are like very, I can tell an artist that I commission has been through the ringer once or twice before, because they'll be like, here are all of my terms. I think someone gave me like a 20-page PDF of all their terms.
Damn, they've been through something.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. It's like revision deadlines, revision things. And I'm just like, I'm just giving you like some money to make art. Like
every page on that PDF is a piece of trauma.
Yeah, it's another 50 emails with a different client.
Damn. See, yeah. Well, that makes me feel a little lackadaisical over here, because
no
way.
Lackadaisical is good. It's mean you haven't gone through that yet.
I mean, I've been through my share of bullshit, but it's one of those things, like, I have the understanding that oftentimes when I'm dealing with clients, I know that they don't exist in the world that I'm working in. So I don't really have an expectation of them handling everything perfectly. Even if they handle it great, I know they won't handle it perfectly. So oftentimes the way I try to prepare myself in advance, just mentally, like, okay, there's the potential that this person might be a little bit difficult on the back end. And then I don't know, it just makes me, I'd rather just approach it a little more patient up front. That way I just, otherwise I'll just mess around, be annoyed and disappointed every time something goes wrong.
Right. You'd be surprised at how easily you can convince someone of something if they like you as well. Like,
yeah, man. Because and plus, there's always a range of reputations when it comes to dealing with creators, and oftentimes you've got the creator that's jaded because they've been kicked in the ass. You've got the creator that's overconfident because they've only been drawing for 6 months, but all their cousins and their friends love it. This is like all kinds of different. There's all kinds of different like reputations that come with being an artist, and then like every time you speak to somebody, you have to let a person know exactly what range of profession and professional experience you're in, and like they don't know till you tell them, until they see the work, and then you just be patient. Just be patient and do your thing. I mean, that's what the deposit is for.
Right. That is right. It's just like, hey, they're on the hook for something. Like it's like, it's a committal, it's, that's also very important in terms of like people not get, I never know how long, it should be till you get paid. As someone who's waiting for 2 payments from people, I'm like, how long do you wait till you ask? Because I'm like, I aggressively pay people. I'm like,
see, like my rule of thumb is I get my deposit up front, and then when I'm close to the completion of things, I get my next. And I try to get payment before I send the final thing. Yeah, because I have had situations where somebody will be like, okay, I got the final payment, yada, yada, yada. And I'll be like, okay, everything's cool. And then I send the work and I'm ghosted. And next thing you know, you like trying to hunt a person down. You're like, yo, hold on, bro.
All you're finding is an office full of empty desks and unplugged phones. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Dude, like you find like random pieces of clothes. They ran so fast that they dropped some of the things they was packing in the bag. Right. Like, yo, come on, bro. I see the trail to the parking lot. Just cut the check.
Yeah.
Cut the check. But now, like, it's yeah. So I operate like that. Where, I'll give some sort of like low res version or something to be like, here you go, and then when we're good, they shoot payment. I shoot the files. I've been smacked a handful of times, but not enough to not I don't as I don't even have 1 page worth of PDF, so
you're just kind of like the email, I think, is the verbal understanding between 2 people. There's your understood contract. Gotta.
Yeah. It's not too complicated.
Yeah,
not too complicated. But again, some would say I'm a little, a little lax, I'm a little nonchalant, whatever. But it's worked so far. I guess.
Yeah. You got a lot of work. Go to your page. You got plenty of work on there. So, like,
I try.
Stuff is clearly getting done. But yeah, it is. It's a long road of an artist. It's.
It's very different, man.
Yeah,
it is very different. And the older I get, the more that I realize how much my plans have changed dramatically. My expectations have definitely shifted quite a bit.
Yes, yeah. Well, when you're young, you think you kind of got like, oh, look, I can do everything. I'm going to have a Netflix show in 2 years.
Yeah,
and then you're
like, I used to want to be a Marvel artist, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Oh man, had the bigger, and then just within my experience within comics and running the circuit and whatever, you figure it out. I'm like, yo, I don't know, man. Being a Marvel artist kind of seems exhausting. I don't know about that.
Right. Especially like, because like in your case, especially, you've got a very strong style, which means like you have to get a very specific book, you know.
Yes, yeah. Somebody's gonna have to be willing to allow me to kind of change the interpretation of their character in a way that's like that's gonna be, I don't know, that's gonna make sense. Like, yeah,
it's that weird thing of like Marvel DC stuff. It's like because they have that house style, and if you're like, and there's so much good stuff that is outside that house style, but it's like, do you need to know the writer that gets you in the door, or do you need to like, you'd be like, no, this guy's great. Like, let him draw this book. It's gonna be amazing. Just trust me.
I'm definitely. I've come to terms with. I'm definitely the one shot guy.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
I know that well. If I'm gonna break into anybody's industry, if you give me a series for a character, that means that you must have loved that one shot.
Right.
Because otherwise, nobody's looking at my stuff and saying, "Oh shit, Captain America."
Right. You're right. You're not gonna jump in at like Captain America 153. You know.
No. Yeah. Oh my God. You know how hilarious that would be.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden, Captain America 153, you see my stuff, they're gonna be like, "What did they do to?" It'll be as jarring as when they made him a Nazi.
Yeah. That kind of stuff like never happens. I think like if you've ever read Ecstatics, that's like a very weird case where that kind of thing happened, but like it does not happen very often. Where it's like, one book it's just normal, next book it's like, what the hell is this pop art shit?
And I mean man, hey, look, and yo, that's exactly what they describe it as too. Pop art shit. They gonna look at it and be like, oh man, hold on. Who let this fucking graffiti Basquiat anime like, what is this?
And no, with all, I say pop art with the deepest respect. I love it.
I know you do. Yeah. I know you do.
Right.
Believe me. Oh, I've heard it a couple of times. I've gotten that portfolio reviewed in some circles where they've been like, come back later. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna come back later. It's still gonna look the same. Right.
You're not gonna like, well, that guy gave me a portfolio. You're trying to dump all of the art I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah.
Pick up a new style. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not gonna come back a year later and be like, hey guys, so last time you checked out my portfolio, I went ahead and just changed my perspective on life and visual language and realized that I want to draw just like Alex Ross. Like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
It just don't happen that way.
Yeah. Also, that guy spent a long time making that art. Like,
oh man, right? He makes some of the most beautiful stuff that I've ever seen. And then I look at his work, and I remember I went through a phase of trying to draw like the greats and stuff, and then I was like, I don't know, give me that spray can back.
Right. That's the secret is the greats became the greats by drawing like themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the hard thing to remember. It's like, these guys don't look like anyone else because like they drew like themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like anyway, Bryce, would you believe our time has come and gone so quickly? My God,
it has come very fast.
Yeah, 20 minutes becomes so much. It's a lot shorter than you realize it is. But thank you for being here. Thank you
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making the cover art. It's always nice to get out of the world of game development for a little while. It's why very specifically I try to pick artists that don't work in games really, that aren't like game artists and everything, because you bring a different flavor to it too. It's like a very much the whole different like perspective of like, not making a video game cover,
Well, I greatly appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing, and also I'm a gamer myself, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, and I just everything that you guys are doing in the community that you all have is super inspiring. And I, in turn, am also envious because, man, just the knowledge and the things that you guys have to do
Yeah.
within that gaming universe is it's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's the beauty of like when you truly become an art respecter is that you're envious of every other artist who doesn't work in your medium. You're like, shit, why can't I sculpt? You know?
Exactly. It's facts. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're looking at you. They're like, sculptors looking at you. They're like, why can't I illustrate like that? Bryce, before we go, speaking of, do you have a favorite Toho character?
A favorite Toho character?
Yeah, do you?
Let me think. Because I'm trying to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth too. Because I can't remember if Ultraman counts.
No. See, you're thinking Tokusatsu, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Toho is a different thing, but Ultraman does count what you're thinking about. Yeah, or maybe you're thinking Toei. Anyway,
so Toho's strictly Godzilla territory.
No,
correct?
Oh no, that is Toei. Toho is like it's like bullet hell stuff.
See, I'm completely thinking people in rubber suits.
Oh, you know what? I think that is Toho, but it's a different Toho. It's yes. Right. Yep. Yeah, that's Toho, Toho. I'm thinking I probably should put a little spice on it because it's Touhou. Yeah. Yeah, so you're right. Ultraman, you're correct. Since you're going now or soon, and you won't be around for the end of it, where can people find your stuff?
So you can find me on Instagram at bmad hundreds. That's BMAD 100s. You can find me on Twitter, Mr. Mad Hundreds. And today, I actually put my new website up live. So I'm going to be selling all my merchandise, my comics, all of my things directly through my website now. So that's just madhundreds.com. So if you look up Mad Hundreds or you look up Bryce O'Quay, you shall find me.
Yeah, what a folks, get your own damn website. It changes the world, you know?
It really does. I have a portfolio site, and now I have a merchandise site, and I'm going to be posting up a whole lot of things to keep people up to date, all on my regular website where you can buy the things, so you don't have to buy all your stuff through Instagram. So.
Right. It's like that's if all these social medias go away, you got to make sure you have your landing zone. You know, your little home.
Exactly. So that's where everybody can find me, and please hit me up. I talk to people.
Yeah. The Indiepocalypse cover artists are just like, it's a catalog for people you should be commissioning, I think.
Hell yeah, man! And again, hey, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, listen, the appreciation is mutual always, you know. But before we get caught in the loop of still talking to each other for another 6 hours, we're gonna go on break. I have a bad habit of not ending segments, so I gotta say we're gonna go on break. Thank you again, Bryce, for being here.
All right, thank you.
I'll be back in like 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
All right.
Bye. Welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was titled Lullaby by Asuno Joke. I think I put the wrong emphasis on that. But I don't know that language well enough to get saucy with it like I can with English with my pronunciations. But speaking of pronunciations that I can say, we are greeted here by our last, and the attrition has come for our guests. We are down to one. But that final guest you may know from issue 36. Also, this is the full 36er. It's almost as if all the new people to invite to my show are in the newest issues. With Spindle Wheel Micro Games. It's Sasha. Sasha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. I'm very happy to be here.
Perfect. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you in the zine. You are where Muchi at the top was the kind of the progenitor of the waiting list. You are a good recipient of the waiting list.
Yeah, I was very pleased to get that email. This is like not this one, but the next one. Keep an eye out.
It's something that's like very important. Like it takes. I recognize it takes like way more time to do, to make like a second subcategory of acceptance. But I think as someone who gets rejected from a lot of things, it's like, did I really get rejected, or did I get rejected for space? And I think that's like a huge difference.
It really is. It's a huge like. It's a really dramatic difference between tones, and also it's nice to get some kind of feedback back. I'm used to sending applications into the ether and just hearing absolutely nothing back.
Yeah, I will admit I am that very annoying person that when I get a rejection, I'll be like, "Did you reject it because it is not a good?" Also, I have a thing where I can be like, "Was it not a good fit, or was it simply straight up rejected?" And it's actually illuminating sometimes, because sometimes people are saying, "No, this is not a good fit," and I know save me the time of submitting next year.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because I have a weird little thing that like maybe it makes more sense in the tabletops if there was like all tabletop things, but in the digital game space, it does not have a comfortable like landing spot, if you will. There aren't that many kind of just like anthologies of things, especially that aren't new. But I mentioned tabletop because you are, and that is actually one of the things is that I think I have a hard cap of 2 tabletop games per issue, which is mostly because I feel that digital games are in real dire straits. In terms of people supporting like indie or more alternative sort of things.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you are hoping to get paid for it.
Right. There's a little more, not a lot more, but a little more willingness to pay for like a pamphlet or a 1-page RPG, you know.
Yeah, well, you get. I feel like you get the sense of what a tabletop game might be like in a way that, like, even the best trailer for a video game can't really tell you what it's going to be like to play it.
And there's always like.
So I just think it's easier to get a sense of a tabletop game in your head, you know.
Yeah, and there's also the benefit of when you dare to talk about the time value. Any good tabletop game, they all have infinite value, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is that like even if the game itself isn't good, you end up spending time with your friends.
Yes.
And what is better than that?
Hopefully not much. Hopefully you enjoy spending time with your friends. I don't know why you're like going into like 6-hour, 3-hour long tabletop gaming sessions with people you don't like.
Yeah, that's a rough time.
There are people that do it, and respect to people who can manage to like, I don't know, play tabletop games with strangers, but I can't do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that when I first got into tabletop, I went to my local my friendly neighborhood games store.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of those. They both shut down.
Yeah. And I played a round of D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And that was run like 6 people being led by one person, none of whom knew each other, and like had to like guide us through this whole like adventure, and it makes the format of adventures make a whole lot more sense if you're like, okay, I have to run something for a bunch of strangers.
Right.
Here's like a step-by-step guide to an experience that I can at least rely on.
Yeah, when you have that is like you keep some like the rails make sense. You're like,
Yeah, they really do.
Because you want to have people, all these strangers on a train, rather than a bunch of people wandering alone in the woods, being like, huh, and
Exactly.
a plot to have forward momentum with like minimal player interaction.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good amble in the woods.
Yes,
Even with strangers, I enjoy it, at least in terms of like playing games together.
Right.
Like I run Spindle Wheel at conventions sometimes, and it's always like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have run a game. I had a very weird experience where I ran a game at a. I dabbled in loose. I dabble in tabletop here and there when I get free time. And I've basically where I like to adapt things in general, and I was like, well, I want to adapt concepts to tabletop games. That is the fun of it. If like for as much as I like to be an ambly around in the woods kind of player, when I make things, I make it a lot of systems.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's an addictive little corner of game design.
Where it's like, powered by the apocalypse? No, thank you. What about powered by my own imagined concepts? And then just kind of cutting loose and going, do these work? I don't know. But then I always put a disclaimer in there and say, it's in your brain. You can just make it up if you don't think the numbers work well. But speaking of running Spindle Wheel, what is, like, for an unfamiliar audience out there, what is Spindle Wheel? And maybe more specifically, Spindle Wheel microgames.
Spindle Wheel is a tarot-like storytelling game where you weave a story between cards. And what that means is each card represents like an archetype, and it's got two sides to it, an upright and an inverse, just like tarot does. And each side of the card has like a little snippet of poetry on it.
Yeah.
And these snippets of poetry are like diametrically opposed. Like sometimes they're like two sides of the same coin. Sometimes it's like black and white kind of thing, or like good or bad. And what you do is, you put these cards in an arrangement called a spread, and each position in that spread has like a meaning. So you've got like your boon or your bane, or like the thing that's working for you, the thing that's working against you, what you actually want and how you're going to get it. And when you put the cards down, you interpret the cards in that context. And Spindle Wheel Microgames is a collection of 5 different modules that you can play with these cards in. It's got duels to the death. It's got unlocking a god from a mountain. It's got talking on a train. It's got a classic murder whoddunit.
Yeah.
It's got like map making. There's all sorts of stuff. It's my pride and joy. I'm really proud of all the games in there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's why I think the excitement of like when you create like a system of your own is then you're like, oh, I can do so much with this. I can like, when you build the bones, you start to see like, you know, I mean, you could theoretically one could arrive just through play at like what like one of the micro games could be, but it's like as a creator you're like, oh no, here are some ways, like some more distinct ways that I'm like, here's a setup that is how you play like this style of game and then that style of game, and it is like you can just do so much with it.
You really can, and it's I will toot my own horn a little bit here and
go ahead.
say that I haven't really found another game that plays like Spindle Wheel does.
Right.
Like the relationship that you have to the system is so distinct. Like you are telling the story, but you're also subordinate to it. in a way that like in like traditional like dice role-playing games, like the system is there to help facilitate you tell your own story, but with Spindle Wheel you are sort of collaborating with the deck in order to tell a story like with the system itself.
Right. Right. It is like there is the reference to like the idea that the die is the extra player, but in this, like, it is very clearly, like it is a much more active extra player rather than like, a dice roll is kind of like your if you think of it like you're like a lackadaisical kind of gets up to the fridge constantly but occasionally contributes kind of player. Whereas like the Spindle Tarot setup is like it's your active. They're at the table focused all the time. And so
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of putting it.
And they're like an active participant in the game themselves. And it's such a cool like, and I think those systems are like really good like onboarding ways for people to get into table at the top too. I think that is like kind of why people, besides pop culture recognition, that is the benefit to something like a Dungeons and Dragons, is that it has a lot of stuff in it that it will help you through it.
Yeah, it has a fair amount of like hand holding for like how to tell a story at the table, which is not an intuitive thing.
No.
Like despite it basically just being make believe.
Right, despite human history always telling stories for our entire existence, there's like it's tricky when you have to.
It's easier and harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's very cool when there's like, especially when you have something like tangible, and it's like Sasha, I love indie RPGs, but sometimes like a one page that is like, here's your character, go nutso, is kind of like, I recognize the intimidation of someone who's like trying to get into tabletop to start there.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you are if you're not used to the like protocol of such a thing, like if you do need a bit of hand holding, if you do need like some training wheels in order to get into that mode of storytelling, especially like collaboratively with other people.
Yeah.
Then a one page is not going to give you a whole lot to go with.
Right. Especially
if you're getting into running. Oh my god.
Yeah. Right, and like it's also nice when there are systems that, like, despite it being a role playing genre, when you don't have to role play as much, I think can help get people comfortable, because that's a whole other, like, on top of coming up with stories, you're also performing, and there's just layers of anxiety to cross for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it is easier to and like oddly more intuitive to get into like crunchy numbers than it is to like get into your character's head and like react actively.
Right. If you're if your bounty hunter has, like, you've been playing 6 sessions where you've been just kind of saying the things that they do, eventually you might start saying the words just like directly, and you don't have your narration because you feel comfortable with it. You feel someone else has started in, and it's like, it's just such a I love the space,
It's fascinating. It's especially like so many of the designs like facilitate such different kinds of people playing and different kinds of play, like the way that I play Beam Saber is so radically different from the way that I play Spindle Wheel, you know what I mean?
Right. Yes, I've played so many games, like I've played some games cautious and measured, and I've played some games where I've played a game where I died every single session, or multiple times within a session, and it's just I give myself over to the system and try to meet it halfway.
Hell yeah!
A former contributor of the zine, I was looking. I like to look at people's pages of their stuff while I'm talking to them. So it's like my notes version. I'm seeing here, Caro has much smarter than me. Spindle wielding a scaffolding of a single game. I'm like, damn, that's smart. Such a well put thing. And I was like, yeah, that is like. So and that brings me to my question is that I forgot to ask you at the top, Sasha. How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I heard of Indiepocalypse because my friend Takuma Okada was on a couple of
yes
issues ago.
Former commissioned artist of Indiepocalypse. With
hell yeah.
That's see folks, I make the concessions for a tabletop where I am, if I am mean to them, sometimes it's in acceptance. I also commission tabletop artists as well because I love it. There's so much stuff in, like, just because it's all words on paper, it doesn't mean you can't. There's not still so much left to explore within the medium.
Yeah, it's also like at least in my experience, like the quickest loop from like figuring out a system that you want to try and then trying the system, because all you need is like other people to run it,
right?
Or even yourself, right? Like you can play any of the micro games solo.
Yeah. There's the whole world of like solo and journaling RPGs.
Yeah,
that is like this whole, and it's also nice, like the nice it's also very quick from idea you have to idea you can make, because it's like I need an idea and I need something to record it on.
Exactly.
And maybe
and that's it, really.
Right. There's like the guy whose name I can't remember, who sells napkin ones. I always feel bad when I can't remember people's names.
Oh no!
Did he do the Badger one? Did he also make the Badger game, or the Raccoon game rather? Anyway,
Grant Howitt, maybe.
I think so. I think.
Okay.
Is he the one that would also just like make games literally on napkins?
Grant Howitt does a lot of like one-page RPGs. Also did Honey Heist.
Yes,
which is the big one.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was thinking of. Yes, I believe this is him who has like literally, hey, I made a game on a napkin, and I uploaded it, and that's, you could do that, folks. No one's stopping you.
Grant Howitt is a very successful tabletop designer. Like, you could just do that.
Yes, like you. I think it's very easy to get caught up in like, oh, you have to have gorgeous cover art. You have to have all this lore and stats and tables. But like, tabletop is like any other medium where people are drawn to seeing other people within the art. And
and if you've got a poppy enough like idea, then it's gonna attract people, you know?
Yeah. People gonna be like, oh wow, I love this. I love this. Like, they want to play. People want to play games with friends. You know, humans love to play. We love to play with each other. And tabletop is just like an exciting avenue for that. Of just kind of, making stuff up, and like tabletop designers are just like provide the framework for making stuff up. They're the prompt givers.
It's also like a blend of like play and creativity, right? Like you are authoring something together. You are collaborating together on a story.
You're making something new over the course of just playing a game. You are tricking yourself into getting emotional with a thing you just made up on your own with your friends, and then you're like,
exactly. kind of enter into a fandom of like 4 people,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, so you're like, oh man, remember when you did this and that? I love it when, or like, I love when these falling in love with NPCs who is just like a thing your friend made up.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things is to write fan fiction for campaigns I'm in.
Right. It's like, and then what is fan fiction for a campaign you're in, but adding to the campaign in a way, you know? And it's this kind of,
Exactly.
it's all this very circular, like, it's just so cool.
There's very little that's quite as rewarding as making something that is like hyper targeted to one person. Like,
Yes.
no one else might understand what's going on, but this one person is gonna go absolutely apeshit.
Yeah, right.
And that is so satisfying.
Yes, this is like, I specifically know someone is going to get very excited to see, hey, look, we were messing around Roll20 and I drew your guy. And it's like, oh my god, that's my guy. I can't draw, but you drew my guy. And there's so much to it. It's such a treat to I love the medium, you know. I love that's why I have people on, because you know I miss just hanging out and talking to people. And sometimes in a theoretical world where I did not happen to schedule 2 people who had important meetings at 3:00, we would have, oh well.
Alas.
Yeah, there is it would put people in rooms together and be like, oh, I didn't know about this person. And then like, it's how I like scenes. I think scenes are very cool.
Yeah,
it helps people like grow if they bounce off of each other.
It absolutely does. Yeah, I'm very very lucky to have found the group of designers that I've become friends with. Caro being one of them. They are incredibly smart and incredibly like creative and prolific in ways that I like. I don't even think about on my own. It's just like, it's just really it's really cool.
Right, and then they come back to you with glowing comments about, congratulations, you built an entire new system with an endless breadth of potential. And you're like, no, but you see tabletop in a way that I don't even think about it. And yeah,
it's a fantastic mutual admiration society.
Right.
It's really good.
Yeah, and it helps you. Like, that's how like local bands get, like local music gets like a sound. It's just like people bouncing off of each other and like going like, oh, I like that, and like, you know, swapping between like collaborating and just like everyone's trading band members and kind of like jamming together. And it's both like way more accessible and also like in some ways like way harder to do it online. And I like to,
oh yeah,
because it's like when it's easier because we're all here, but it's harder because, you know, there's like there's the theoretical barrier of like, it's easy to look at someone and go, oh, you're not good enough, you don't have enough numbers next to any of your names, you know. You have to, it's like a,
oh sure, it's
that you get that trickier element to prove yourself rather than I just showed up at the venue. And
yeah, it's different to like cold call somebody
right
online than it is to be like, hey, how's it going?
Right. It's like, when is a correct message to reply to, and when is so the trick is you pay them money for something. You trick them onto your show. And then all you have is the anxiety of a relationship built on money. Which is a different,
brilliant.
Which is a different problem you work yourself into. You're like, I got out of that frying pan, but why does it still feel so hot? I'm not sure what's going on here. But
yeah.
Sasha, do you have a favorite Toho character?
I don't know a whole lot about Toho except that I like the music and
Yes.
I love it when people have the little like potato-shaped plushies
Yes.
of Toho characters and they put them next to each other and do like little comics and stuff. That's great.
That is what has drawn me to it is definitely the idea of Toho and like that people love it so much. Like I'm like, there's got to be something there. And also,
Yeah.
the first time I played a Toho game and both playing the game and listening to music, I was like, you know what? Wow, Toby Fox likes Toho. And it's like, there are those. I love when you can experience a piece of art that you're like, oh, this artist loves this thing. It is very clear that they were inspired by it. And it is.
Yeah, you get to see the roots of it in everything else. It's so cool.
Yeah, like because that's I always like to recommend to people. It's like it's just like general advice. Is like if you like an artist, get inspired by them, but also go like one layer deeper and see what they get inspired by, and then you can just keep spindling out until this endless like roots of inspirations, and then you're like, wow. Then that's how you get like that thick palette to draw from, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you only like the one thing, you only have that one flavor, and then it's like how you kind of, you know, you limit yourself.
It's no good.
No.
Yeah, you gotta take in a bunch of different stuff. It's very important.
Yeah.
Which is odd because it like is especially in like I feel this personally like in a capitalist society. I feel like I should be like making stuff all the time, all the time, all the time.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Um, but you gotta take stuff in. You gotta experience art. You simply have to.
Yeah. There is like sometimes you just need to experience nothing. You need to walk.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to let your brain steep
Yeah.
in the stuff it's already steeping in, and
Right.
like take a fucking walk and like
But no,
pet a
you're
dog.
you're working a 40-hour 9 to 5, but then you're also an artist afterwards, so you're working another 45 to 9 that you made up for yourself. And then what do you do? What do you do with the how do you
How do you even live?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's that.
it's rough out here.
If only we could just like, if only there was some people who had a lot of money and we could take some of their money and give it to other people, maybe. I don't know. Sounds
Oh,
silly.
that's not. No, I think you're onto something there.
Uh,
That's
Distributing wealth? I don't know about that. It sounds far fetched. No, I'm a liar. I live in Massachusetts. I just voted to distribute wealth some more. So,
nice.
and I'd like, but oh no, all our millionaires are gonna leave now. Oh no.
Oh no.
I doubt it. You suckers couldn't leave the vineyard if you tried. You're too addicted to that lifestyle. This is the fancy town. It's why we're so expensive.
You got him.
Whatever.
Uh-huh.
Whatever. What a. I was talking last week with a guest from Ukraine who was like, the U.S. is, as you learn more about the U.S., you're like, it's weird. It's like you're a bunch of little countries, aren't you? And it's like you kind of are.
Yeah.
It's a very weird.
Yeah.
It's a very weird country made up of 50 other little countries. Where it's like, my minimum wage is like twice other states' minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And each of those states is divided into their own like cities and counties and stuff. And nowhere, it's so weird because like everywhere in the U.S. is basically the same as everywhere else in the U.S. Except that it's very different.
Yes, right.
It's peculiar.
Right. It's a very weird. Like I think like I know if I go to Canada, my U.S. dollars spend more, but do my Massachusetts dollars. Technically, there's like my Massachusetts pay rate spend better if I go like to Tennessee or something, because I have like a Massachusetts standard of living, or like because it's also super expensive in places, sort of. Anyway, the U.S. it's a crazy thing. I'm on one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
on the other.
Yes. I've been to the West Coast. I've been to California once in my life to do Indiecade. It was a weird experience. I drank a lot of collagen water, which was like,
strange.
This is Los Angeles, collagen water. In the same way that New England is chowder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think of LA as something that is like, I guess, healthy for me, and it's like we took crow spit and we put it and we mixed it with goji berries, and it makes your hair grow longer. I'm like, I guess, sure. Does it actually do any of that, or is it? I don't know.
Or you're just charging more for it,
right? Did an article somewhere say it, and it's trends. Anyway, I prefer to live around a city where everyone hates each other and no one talks to each other.
Yeah, I am much the same.
Granted, I don't even live in it, but like, anyway, I'm getting derailed into local flavor, hyper local flavor, which is not about games at all. But this is what you have when you get the third guess, and I just start running my mouth too much. Sasha,
yeah,
what's up? No, do you have? We're approaching the end of this entire show, if you would believe it.
Goodness.
Yeah, I was like, I forgot to keep track of the time, and then I checked a couple of times, and now I know one of the times I checked it is 20. It was over 20 minutes past that time, so we are definitely over 20 minutes at this point.
Well,
do you have any final thoughts, any final statements, any final questions, any final finale? Do you have any other finality you'd like to bring to the show?
well, the whole show.
Yeah.
On what I say just now. Small games are good, and curating small games is nothing to sneeze at, and I'm really glad that you do the work that you do.
Well, thank you. I'm like I said, every guest, and it's not just it's a strange line that I walk where I feel like when I compliment the games, I'm trying to sell something, when it's really that I just actually genuinely really enjoy them, and it's why I do this. But the feelings are always mutual. That is like, this doesn't exist without games that I like, you know, people making good games that are cool, that I think I realized recently as I'm taking a more laid back approach to 2023 that like a lot of the resentment and bitterness around that I occasionally feel around this project is that I'm packaging all these good games in the easiest way possible. Why are you not paying attention to them still? Because like they're good. They're these games. They like deserve. All these people should be able to live comfortably just being able to make art. And I made it as easy as possible for you, and yet you still don't do it.
What the heck?
Yeah. What are you doing?
What's the held up? Honestly.
Yeah, they're like. The real holdup is that it's easier to like discourse about D&D rather than to simply stop thinking about D&D and play other games.
It is its own kind of game.
Yeah.
Discoursing about D&D. Yeah, lots of people play it, and lots of people are bad at it.
Right, because it's that problem where it's the thing that everyone's talking about. So if everyone's split up to talk about indie games, we might not be all talking about the same indie games, you know?
Yeah.
So then people are like, but I want to talk about the thing that I want to be a hashtag part of the conversation. But you don't have to. Just find like 3
It's
people.
overrated.
Find some friends, you know? And just like the things your friends like.
Yeah.
I at the top of the show, I'm a Bandcamp freak. My friends aren't listening to oh god, what's the name of it? He's only said like a million times, I'm sitting in a room. My friends are not listening to I'm sitting in a room, but I am. And it rules. And then no one's going to talk to me about it, but if you might find some people to talk to you about the things that you like. They're not as unknown as you think they are, I guess.
Really.
Oh.
And that's the thing, is that you can always change that if you are the one talking about them.
Right.
So
if you're the one breaking out the tarot cards and saying like, hey, what if we played some Spindle Wheel? People will be like, I don't know what that is. And you're like, well, I'm going to show you what it is.
yeah. Which you should do, because Spindle is a really good game.
yeah, it's it is right. It's a very good game, very easy to just show around to people, and like any one of these games could just be like indie staples, you know.
Yeah.
It's like that indie darlings, as they say, you know. Games get them every now and then. Honey Heist was an indie darling, you know. It's like Berg and all these.
Oh yeah.
Are your indie darlings? They'll come and go, but there's like.
I mean, you get them that like have nice artifacts to them. Like the Morkborg book is gorgeous.
Yes. And that is an easy way to draw people in. And you know what? I've said this before. I think we need to bring back pretension a little sometimes.
I agree.
Like
it just spiffs things up a little bit.
Yeah, we've let everyone. The angels have flown down and pushed people on lifts and said let people like things, but it doesn't hurt if you're like a snob every now and then.
Yeah.
And be like, listen, we already watched 13 Spider-Mans. What if we watch this movie that's one static shot of a room for 40 minutes?
If though.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Your friends probably like take your friend that's posting on Columbo every day and like, hey, what if we watched Mike? You like that Columbo guy? What if we watched Mikey and Nikki? And then you're
what if you did? That movie is incredible.
It is like, it's such a, those guys just bouncing off each other all night. That is one of those movies where it's like, you can just make movies, folks. You can just, in the way that video games are just little guys running around, movies are just little guys talking to each other.
That's all it is.
Yeah. You're just, it's,
put a camera down and see what happens.
And then eventually, next thing you know, you all your Columbo shitposting friends are all Cassavetes pilled, and then they're just exploring the world of independent cinema. And
glorious.
It's just don't be a jerk about it. That was the problem. It's being a jerk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta trick people to being. You gotta be enthusiastic about. We're gonna end the show soon, but nothing made me happier than that Sight and Sound poll. It was my favorite thing. John Dielman is the funniest movie they could have picked because it upsets everybody.
Oh my god,
nobody's happy by that. The pop view isn't happy about it. The classic diehards aren't happy about it because it's just long and nothing happens and it's not in English.
That's hilarious.
And it was not made by an old guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of my favorite pieces of unrecommendable art.
Oh, a beautiful, beautiful classification.
Yes. Before we do plug, Sasha, do you have a favorite piece of unrecommendable art?
I've got a number of them.
Yes.
Um, uh, God, I have a little cowboy in my head
Yes.
who just kind of lives there, and every so often will like try to seize the reins and make me watch Tombstone again.
Okay.
That's not a good movie. Don't watch that. But I do have that, and I also
that's the one where they're your Huckleberry, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. The more unrecommendable thing that I have is I play just an unconscionable amount of Warframe.
Okay.
And that game is not good, but it's also pretty good. I don't know.
I've tried to play, and I'm like, there's a robot and they slide around, and I joined with a party, and all these guys are sliding and flipping, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. There's too many numbers. I'm 10 years too late for this game.
There are so many proper nouns. There are too many proper. You just put some of those back. We don't need all that.
Yes, I remembered, like, I don't read an awful lot because, listen, it's a long story. Literature's been around for a long time, and my brain that wants to complete things will never be able to complete literature. But I'm like, I could watch every notable movie because the movies are so new. But yes, I remember reading, like, when you read a book that has like a million proper nouns, and you're like, this takes so much longer to read because there's so many made up words. But
you gotta learn so much about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta and folks, respect your proper nouns. I'm pointing at no camera because I don't have cameras. Respect proper nouns. If I can dip my toe in a discourse for a minute, if you'll allow me.
Oh, please.
People were making fun of that video game, Forspoken, because it doesn't respect itself. I remember, back in the heady days of Movie Pass, there was Kong Skull Island was a constant trailer when I had it. And I remember there was a part in that trailer where there was like some weird spider monsters, and they'd sit and they called them a cool spider monster name, but then they undercut it immediately, and then they're like, we call them facey squishies or something stupid like that. And I'm like,
oh boo.
You set up your lore and then you undercut it in a second, and for that I have no respect for you, Kong Skull Island.
A little self-respect goes a long way.
Yeah, you forget humanity is all made up bullshit artifice that we created for ourselves. Like if you have elves making up their artifice, it's not any more ridiculous than anything else we've made up.
Truly.
Think for a moment of our own nonsense, and maybe you'll respect the Silmarillion a little bit more, or Tom Bombadil or whatever. Anyhow, I'm actually going to end the show before I start talking about that Hobbit cut where they that Bank and Rass Hobbit where they put Dope Smoker over it. Anyway. Sasha, thank you for being here. What have you got?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Where can people find your stuff? If they want.
You can find my stuff at tcabbage.com will be most of it.
Beautiful.
And SashaRenault.com if you want to see my art stuff, which I haven't updated in a million years, but you can still look at it.
Right, it's still your website that you have.
Yeah.
And all the Twitter changes in the world have zero impact on that because it's your website.
Absolutely. As long as I keep paying the fee for it, then I can keep it on the internet.
That's the one thing you forget about that is that you do have to pay for webs. Well, you don't have to pay for like a NeoCities though, so it's like get a NeoCities.
True.
You know?
That's my mistake. I just just do that.
No.
Maybe I will.
As someone who has their own website and also has like 2 or 3 domains, you don't even think about that $15 every year. It's just like oh yeah, that thing, and then you forget about it. But yes, no, you should check it out. There's a lot of stuff available. There's a lot of games. you should check out all people's stuff. I forgot to here. MUT Media is Moochie's thing that because they left. I forgot to promote and getting that last plug in there. And I'll say Indiepocalypse, Indiepocalypse.com. I've somehow secured that URL all these 3 years ago, and I've got it. I'm never getting it up. I got the good one. You go there, and that's where you get them. Eventually, I'll be able to sell the stuff on my own page, but I have to do website work, and I don't want to do website work.
Mm-hmm.
I have to set up WooCommerce, and I was like, yeah, it's most of the way there.
Whole headache, yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, that's where you get it. If you want to be part of Indiepocalypse, it's very easy. You go to indiepocalypse.com/submit, and then you have made a game, and you submit that game, and then sometimes it gets in. Sometimes I send you an email that's like, you didn't get in, but that's because of space. And sometimes you don't get that email, and then that means, uh-oh. Uh-oh. It doesn't mean that you'll never get in with anything you make in the future, but it means that that game you happen to submit, how do I politely say it'll never be included? Is there I don't know if there's a polite way to say it. But it's the truth, and it's also Indiepocalypse is a very alternative sort of leaning collection. So maybe you can make something and make $1 million on the App Store, but I'm like, I don't care about that. Mm-hmm. If you submitted an Ubisoft tower climbing game to me, I'd be like, so what? Even if Ubisoft submitted, Assassin's Creed 4, I'd be like, this game's too long. I don't want to include. Who cares?
That would be such a spectacular rejection letter to be able to send. I can't imagine anything more satisfying.
Yes, it would be, and it's true. I would be like, I don't like it's. I always prefer things that are imperfect and broken, but there's something to them. You feel the human touch in them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a connection. Not like this is a spreadsheet that I but also I'll play a spreadsheet game sometimes. I'm not a. But they're like in my mind, they're different things,
Yeah.
Like something like a Warframe in my mind, in the way I would play like Diablo 2 forever and forever. It's like a different thing than any a game that's featured in Indiepocalypse. It's a thing where I'm clicking and then I'm getting numbers, and my numbers are increasing, and I'm doing backflips, and I have a robot dog now, and then I have a katana.
Yeah, it's not something. It's not something you do consciously. It's just sort of something that slides through. Whereas like playing an indie game, you actually make a connection and experience art. Once.
I've been thinking that we need a different classification for them, and can I call them play software or something?
You can call them whatever you want.
I will. I want to call them play software because they're just they're closer to software than they are art in some ways, because they're we got the new version, we're updating it constantly. But also anyway. Thank you for being here, Sasha. I'm closing the show. No one can stop me. I'm ending it. Thank you for being in the zine on the show, and just in general, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Found the thing, and goodbye.